Hi guys, my name is Sophie Farrow and I will be doing my project 6 on a topic that I'm super passionate about. So overall, this presentation will be going over the national shortage of rural veterinarians and how that affects the US beef industry. So just to go over the issue at a glance, in the year 2017, the USDA identified 187 rural areas throughout the United States that completely lack access to veterinarians who specialize in food animal medicine. And on top of that, there are 500 counties that are underserved. Many rural farmers must travel up to 150 miles to reach the nearest veterinary clinic with at-risk animals. Mobile veterinarians that do serve rural areas also have intensive travel times, which causes farmers to wait long periods before a physician can arrive. And then this map over here to the right, this is based in 2014, but the newer models were a bit more interactive, so I didn't want to post those, but it's basically super similar. Kind of shows different regions in the US that primarily target rural areas, the Midwest, and then sort of the Western United States that are rural zoning areas, but that are underserved or completely lack any veterinary access. As you can see, it's a pretty widespread national issue in almost every state that provides a decent amount of cattle or some sort of livestock. So rural and food animal physicians and the comparison to other specialties. So this is sort of the root of the issue. So the American Veterinary Medical Association estimates veterinarians in 2018 on this table over here. As you can see, there's a total of 73,373 private practices in the United States, but only about 1,200 of those are food animal exclusive. And you can see that predominantly the overall massive proportion of all the veterinarians in the United States include companion animal exclusive. So that means that they do not serve any sort of large animal or food animal period, which is obviously a bit of an issue because that's over half of the entire population. So overall, kind of going over the same sort of issue. This is a class snapshot of the Iowa State University veterinary class. Iowa State produces some of the highest percentage of rural veterinarians out of any veterinary school in the entire country. That's why I thought it would be a good method to use one of their class overviews. So this is their classes from 2020, 2021, and 2022. As you can see, even though ISU produces some of the highest numbers of food animal graduates, out of their total class, it's only about 18% food animal and 35% mixed animal. And this has a lot of different things. It has to do with mentorship, salary, type of practice, practice culture, scheduled hours, and then geographical location is one of the biggest ones. So just to go over this again, about 30% of students show extreme interest in rural medicine at the beginning of their program, but only about 10% of graduates actually take a job in rural medicine. This is reflected in this chart over here. And then veterinarians in rural areas earn between $61,000 and $73,000 a year, which is roughly half the national average salary at $152,000 a year for urban veterinarians. And I actually think that the state of Hawaii pays urban veterinarians the most with about $250,000 a year. So as you can see, there's massive pay and salary discrepancies. And the AVMA states veterinary students have an average of $143,000 in loans after graduation, which is also influenced why there's such a shortage of rural veterinarians just because of the wage gap. So how does the lack of veterinarians affect farmers and ranchers in rural communities? Ultimately, beef farmers are forced to consolidate smaller herds into larger herds in order to keep operations close to sufficient veterinary care. So if you have a beef operation that has 3 herd sizes of 500 head, in order to keep them close to a veterinarian, you would have to consolidate those 3 herds of 500 head into a herd of 1,500 cows, which obviously has a lot higher implications on the environment, resources, etc. Farmers rely way too heavily on a single physician. This puts the whole system at risk as well. If something happens to that physician, they retire, they move, they get sick, that forces the farmers to have to wait or just not receive veterinary care for a specific period of time. Transportation of at-risk animals spreads disease or causes injury to both laborers and animals. It's really dangerous to load injured cows into a trailer. It's also really dangerous to load diseased animals into a trailer that would potentially spread to other animals if you use the trailer again without properly cleaning it. And then mobile veterinarians are extremely expensive and have long wait times. So typically a mobile veterinarian will actually charge a farmer per mile as well. So you're not just paying for the actual service fee, you're also paying for travel fees as well. And then insufficient access to veterinary care causes many farmers to complete tasks on their own. This increases risk of injury, mortality, and disease spread. So there's a lot of opposing positions on this issue. First off, farmers believe the onset of new generations in veterinary medicine puts too much emphasis on time off, family, etc. So essentially having a work-life balance. And this is why there are less rural farmers, because typically rural farmers don't have as similar of a work-life balance as a urban private practice with smaller animals where you typically work like a 9 to 5 job. A lot of rural veterinarians have to work nights, will have to get up in the morning super early, usually have to stay on call. In addition, the veterinary field is mostly female dominated. I think now it's about 60% female in most graduating classes. And statistics show that females are way less likely to be in rural medicine. Veterinary students blame lower salary and insufficient clientele in extremely rural areas as the main issue. So personally, I believe that the government needs to begin looking towards early graduation scholarship or loan relief programs for individuals committed to rural veterinary medicine. I'm from the University of Minnesota, and I'm actually in one of those programs where I will get loan forgiveness at the end of my 4 years and actually get early graduation and early acceptance into the veterinary medical program. So systems like this will promote better agricultural education in K-12 schoolings, which will then promote more interest in rural livestock jobs. This can be FFA programs, 4-H programs. Those need to be more highly funded and also more promoted in urban areas. And then close the salary gap between urban and rural veterinarians. This can be through government funding programs, tax subsidies, etc. And then we need to emphasize work boundaries and treat veterinarians as true medical professionals. And then these are my sources. Thank you so much for watching.